If you want small talk, this episode is not for you. We're just gonna get right to it.
You didn't even say like "Welcome to the Everyday Podcast."
Have you ever been to the circus?
Well, they've clicked on it.
That's true.
Titles there.
You're watching.
You know where you're at. Here we are.
At this point, you know where you
Probably not an accident. If it is an accident, then great. We're
Welcome.
glad to have you.
We are super glad to have
are.
you.
I don't believe in accidents.
Okay, that's great.
Have you guys ever been to the circus?
In Tallahassee, yeah. The
Yeah.
one outside of right field of Dickhauser Stadium.
Yep.
I've never.
Is it Mike
never
Martin
been.
Stadium now,
Never
or is
been.
it still Dickhauser to Mike Martin Field?
Yes, Dickhauser Stadium, Mike Martin Field.
Okay.
I hit exactly one ball onto the circus in batting practice, and it fulfilled every childhood dream I ever had.
Wait, but you never played at Florida State.
We played there 4 times, in fact. Every
Oh,
year
you
we go.
played,
At Florida State.
and then y'all did
I only played one of
pregame-
those years.
And you played pregame BP.
It's just every time we go, I'm going to hit as many out of, as many.
What's up with all this idle chit chat, man? What's our topic today, Blake?
Well, the topic today sort of gets to the heart of, I think, why we started this entire podcast.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Right? It's if nothing changes, if we don't do anything about it, if we just stay on the path we're at, then where does it go from here? It's obviously not a good place. We can talk about all the bad places we think it's going to go, or maybe some of the key topics that we need to focus on in order to sort of right the ship that's on a pretty dangerous path. So that's where we're at today.
You just became somebody completely different there, and I loved it. That was awesome.
All natural.
So would you say fatherhood is at stake? Like for
Not just I think the country, I think our culture, our society, everything about this place that we live in it's not just fatherhood. Families are at stake. I think Western civilization, frankly, is at stake. Not to overplay it, but I think it's that important.
Yeah.
Truly.
So if nothing changes, where are we headed? That's the topic.
Yep.
If nothing changes, where's fatherhood headed?
Can I start here though? Okay, so before
Please do.
I think one, it starts with a desire to want to be a father, right? Like the most natural desire you can have is to create more of you. I would think, right? I mean, you want to grow your family. You want your house to grow. I mean, this is a desire as old as time, right? It's literally the most natural thing you could possibly want to take part in is growing your family. Right?
So I would say bingo, though. I would say, so what you're saying, are you suggesting that once I become a husband, then that's my natural desire? Or are you saying that there's this there should be this God-given desire for every man to naturally want to reproduce and create a bloodline?
I think that obviously it should happen within the confines of marriage. Over the course of history, it didn't necessarily happen that way. In fact, it in some cases rarely happened that way. But it was still. I mean, the desire to reproduce, as plainly as you could possibly put it, is a good desire as long as it's harnessed in the right context, right? In the right relationship, for the right reasons. But we're at a point now where I don't think people even have a desire to have kids, which I think is really sad, right? And so that's, I mean, literally here, here's some scary stats, right? Fertility rates in the United States.
Sure.
Just go back to 1960. We were at 3.6 births per woman, right? So lots of babies being had in the 1960s.
Yep.
Okay, 2025, we're at 1.79 births per woman. That's the fertility rate we're at now. That's a 50% decrease. Replacement rate without relying on immigration is 2.1. We're well under replacement rate. So a civilization can't continue to grow. We're literally not at a self-sustaining fertility rate.
Yeah.
The population, but now it appears that way because we're taking in so many immigrants, right? I mean, we're growing because of all these people are coming from different places. But as Americans, we're literally not reproducing at replacement rate. So I think that's literally step one is where are we headed if nothing changes? Okay, first of all, can we have a desire to want to have kids and grow family? I think that would be a nice place to get to, right? I mean, and that's like the dumbest down version. But I mean, that if that doesn't changes, then we're just fatherless. Just goes up and there's less and less fathers.
So whenever I got that question, I didn't think that route. So this may be a really interesting podcast.
And I don't think that's where we end. I just think it's important to start.
It's a good
there.
start.
Yeah, no, I didn't even. that's not where my mind went at all. My mind went to the morals and values and spirituality of the household. Maybe it's because that's the world that we live in, every day, being on staff at a church, that's kind of what we think about and what we teach. So I don't know, that's an interesting thought. I wouldn't have thought to look at the birth rate.
I mean, it's almost like, which came
I guess
first,
a lot of
the
this stuff
chicken or the
doesn't
egg?
matter if you're not having kids is my point. So it's let's start there maybe and, slowly start.
Sure.
And this doesn't happen overnight, right? We're talking about spiritual revival stuff has to happen in order to really right some of the things that are taking place. But so anyways.
And I also go back to one of our very first episodes where we talked about how moms are really outpacing the dad. For some reason, that article that I read, that whole topic has really changed how I think about teaching and equipping men in the church, because moms are outpacing dads, you know. And we've even started some dad things at the church based off of some of those conversations. So, I don't know, dude. And going all the way back to that, the desire to create something, to reproduce, reproduce yourself, but then all of a sudden, now I got to be that leader. And
I didn't go there either naturally, but I think there's a ton that we could talk about in that, but I definitely think that's a huge, important topic, because right now, and I actually did hear just another podcast on this concept, but it's it was somebody that was trying to convince society, the generation now that's, 15 to 25 going no, there is a deep seated, that started well beyond you were even born, responsibility to have children and to continue that bloodline, right? I mean, you think about your grandfather and you think about, everything that it took to get your family name here, right? I mean, how hard people worked.
And family names are disappearing because certain people aren't having.
And you're just I'm gonna go figure it out, and I'm gonna have kids if it's convenient, when it's convenient, and you're gonna, for lack of a better term, by not continuing it, kill the bloodline because you wanted to go find yourself, right?
Here's what the devil can do from my eyes. Natural function, right? What God meant for a blessing, we can corrupt any blessing that God's created, or what the original intent, the intention is, right? For sex and having children, and children are clearly blessings, and they can be blessings even in difficult circumstances. So we'll corrupt anything, but so we might look at that and say, okay, well, it's bad to have kids in these really broken families or situations, but it's still a natural, that natural desire to want to reproduce is coming from a good place. We just find ways to screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But what the devil will do now is say, you know what? How about you just not have kids, right? Yep. It's such a nasty, evil world. Who would want to raise kids in this type of world? You don't want to do that. What are you bringing them into? And you're totally missing all the blessings that would come with it. So, I mean, I would think that this is kind of, we're getting to the point where I think this is where the devil wants it to go. I would think, right? Just get so self-absorbed that you're only concerned about what you want. You don't want to bring in any conveniences. You don't want to risk having a child come up in a difficult world with difficult circumstances that's difficult for you to be responsible for. So I just think it's gotten that twisted.
And I do know, there's a lot of people listening to this that may or may not be able to have kids or whatever, but I do think, to be sensitive to that, I think is as you are able, right? I mean, you sit down and you listen to a situation and you go, okay, valid reason, not that I get to play God, but I do think the threshold for what constitutes a valid reason is far too low. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of those are luxury, comfort-based, and not legitimate biblical reasons to not continue your family. So I think, unless anyone wants to comment on that more, I think the reality is, I think we're seeing the slow disappearance of the father, and we're acting like that's not going to cost us anything. Right? I mean, you think about what a father biblically brings, right? You think about the security that a father brings, the protection that a father, and we've talked about a lot of these things on the podcast. I mean, the identity that your father gets to instill in you. Again, not that it's the identity with your father, but it's continuing that and helping that child connect the dots to find their heavenly father. The roles that you know the father plays in in stability and in integrity and in their own relationship to God. Like a thought that I had the other day, and it truly did almost bring me to tears. So Noah right now, he's our 1-year-old, and he's in this phase where, for whatever reason, he just I say whatever reason, it's probably deeply God designed, but like he won't go to bed now. It's kind of this whole thing. He won't go to bed now unless mommy and daddy do it together. And it's like we have to do this big thing. We call it the triple kiss. We do the triple kiss, and then like we both take him to his bed and we sing, and he constantly goes back and forth like 4 times before he finally always settles on mama, and then mama puts him down, right? And I just thought about that, like I'm like, man, there's just so it's a small thing, but there's so many kids like that just won't ever get that, like, and it's not that I'm special or that Catherine, obviously my wife, I think she's super special, but just
you both are.
It's that we're both there and we're both needed, and society, culture, people listening to this podcast are going to go, no, like, but no, we're different. Like we're both essential elements to the security, the God-designed plan for Noah, right? For our children. And we're both foundational to that, and we're both needed for that process. And it isn't, and we've talked about that, the moms are outpacing the dads. It's not that the moms aren't strong, right? It's not that the moms aren't doing a good job. It's that was never their shoes to fill. That was like, I heard something the other day, like the husband, the father, is the one that's held responsible for the standard that he sets in the home, right? Like the same thing, that's a very biblical, biblical thing. And so anyways, I just think we're seeing the decline in, my goodness, I'm seeing it in student ministry. I'm seeing it in the schools. I'm seeing it in this gender, identity, moral relativism culture, these Disney disciple, kids that are just constantly being fed. It's like, you want to know who the new fathers are? It's screens, right? You want to know who's actually discipling when you actually look at the time that people are spending. Like, if whatever gets the majority of your attention is the person that's discipling you the most, then the dad, the future of fatherhood, is literally being replaced, and the new father looks like a screen that's being played, by whatever show it is that person, that kid is watching.
I'm going to commandeer this podcast in a minute and just take a bunch of time to go through some pretty powerful stats.
Might as well start now.
I'm going to skip to what you just mentioned. That's even for children who do have a father in the home, right? So I'm going to get into a bunch of stats, I think, of what it looks like if a father's not present. But even for a father that's in a home, for a young boy, that young boy will spend on average 30 minutes a week in one-on-one conversations with their father. Conversely, they'll spend 44 hours on average a week watching TV or playing video games. So just to compare the amount of time that a young boy is getting with their father who's present in the home versus what is really teaching them and instructing them.
Well,
just mind-boggling, gap there, right? So, and I'll give a little bit of props. I think this is very anecdotal. I have zero evidence or data to back this up, but it feels like for the fathers that are involved, at least, just flipping through social media or my friends, like I think there is a culture about dads being more involved in the house, right? Like taking more responsibility. Now, I think we could talk about why we should be careful not to like try and absolve the role of the mother. Like it's not our job to come in and play mom,
right,
necessarily either. But I do think there is a pretty healthy trend of fathers being more present in their kids' lives, right? For those kids who do have dads. So I was like, okay, well that's, maybe our biggest threat that's growing isn't absence, which I'm dead wrong, because when I looked at the stats, I'm like, oh, this is just getting worse and worse still. But for those who are involved, I think we're beyond like decades ago, where a father was just like provided the money and just was never around and had no emotional connection to his kids whatsoever. Right. I do think that is changing. And and I wrote this down here. It's like, it seems like the biggest risk in my mind is like dads who are too, and you mentioned it earlier, too focused on comfort or complacency. We're risk averse. There's a reluctancy for leadership, right? Which plays into why the moms are growing. So I think those are very real trends, but if nothing changes, where are we headed? This is, and I'm going to go on a tangent, I think, if that's okay.
Go for it.
The U.S., and I totally cram this, but blows my mind. The U.S. has by far the highest rate of children living in single-parent households beyond any nation on the face of the planet, and it's not even close. About 80% of single-parent homes are single mothers. So if there is a single-parent home, 80% of the time it's just the mom. So it's not like an overwhelmingly amount. It's not like split, right? If there's an absence, it's almost always a father. So the U.S. rate, at a rate of 23% of living with one parent and no other adults, the U.S. is more than 3 times the world average of 7% children raised by one parent. So the rest of the world averages, for the 7% of their families have one parent. We're at 23%. And just for reference, China's at 3%, India's at 4%. This is not a list we want to be on, and we're not even on it. We're like on a different list, way above everybody else. So even for children who have a father in the home, the average boy I just talked about this, sorry, the screen time thing. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of teen suicides, 85% of children or teens with behavioral disorders all come from families with just a mom present, without dads.
Wow.
Similarly, fatherlessness has a direct link to teen pregnancy and sexual activity. About 70% of all teen pregnancies come from women who grew up without a father. And these same women have significantly higher abortion rates as well. So we should all care about this for obvious. I mean, if we really want to protect our daughters and give them the best chance, I mean, these are terribly sad numbers. This is going to surprise nobody. Fatherless kids are 20% more likely to be incarcerated. But here's the funny thing about this. A child raised in a 2-parent household is less likely to end up in jail, obviously. But they are just as likely to end up in jail if they're raised by just a dad. Does that make sense? So you're obviously kids with no father are 20 times more likely to end up in jail, but they're just as likely to end up in jail with 2 parents versus just a dad. So that to me shows you the role that a father has in terms of these behavioral issues,
right?
And the crime rates and violence and all those things that happen. So you said earlier, like you're not special. You are. Like if I could wave my magic wand and I'm in charge of this country, like find ways to reward fathers who are present, because you doing that is making the world I live in safer, the world that my family lives in safer, right? Like just being involved and present has meaning. I mean, these are just numbers, right? So I mean, truly, it's like you see you in public. Like if you see a dad in Walmart or Target or whatever, like walking around with their family and being involved, it's like salute to you, man. Like you're most of the way there already. So where we're headed is all these numbers, they're not getting better unless some of that changes.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that's an old conversation.
For sure.
I mean, I know that, the stats change, but even whenever, I was first starting out in any sort of leadership in church, like this is a conversation that, has been around, and unfortunately it's not getting better. And I mean, I think you just proved that. And the thing that I think about is, in church world strategy, like we try to win the husband because we know that the husband's going to be probably the influencer in the family to get the family to church, rather than the wife trying to get the husband or the kid.
And we talked about those stats
We
before.
have, yeah. And so, there's so much riding on fathers taking ownership and leadership in their home. There's so much riding on it. There's eternal life potentially riding on this. Yeah. There's social things and so where are we going? I don't know. It causes me to go, all right, what can I do as one individual person in Panama City to go, hey, what can I do to teach and to train or equip young men to be that spiritual leader in home? Because that's where it's going to start. We talk about, you've mentioned the word identity a couple of times. Even in the previous podcast, you talked about identity. And, once we understand that our identity is not Our identity is not the Father. Our identity is not our job. Our identity is not whatever thing that we're good at or known for or how we look. Like, our identity as a believer is in Christ. And if we can just rely on that and go, all right, because of who I am in Christ, all of a sudden the byproduct of that is, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm focusing on him. And through that, man, there's so many benefits and positive and good things that come through understanding our identities in Christ and learning to live that and to be like him. Therefore, we're teaching our family and our kids to be like him. Jesus is first in all of it. I think that where are we going? I don't know. Where I'm gonna go is, all right. I'm gonna teach and equip.
Yeah.
Men and I know you mean this because you've helped set up, men's groups to come together here in this community and to talk about these very things. But again, if you're passing all that on to your children, they're passing that on. This kind of goes back to where we started this whole thing at, is like the best gift you could possibly leave this world is wonderful children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to go and do likewise and continue and be better than you, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the natural cycle thing. So again, we can't snap our fingers and fix it overnight, but if we pour into our families and then they pour into their families, their friends, that multiplier is what.
That's the gospel.
That's exactly.
That's evangelism 101, right? That's advancing the kingdom. And
that's good.
All right, so maybe the answer to all these questions is, what was the previous podcast? Like something about we don't want our kids to be our best friends or something like that. And then this one, well, the key factor here is going to be, where's the gospel in all this? Like, if we're making much of the kingdom, then all of a sudden I think things fall in place better when gospel is paramount in our lives. And
amen. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, I know. I just can't I can't help I'm sitting here listening to you guys, like, so 5 boys. My son, I think about Aiden, and by the time he's able to hear this and things, he'll understand why I say it. Might hurt his feelings a little bit now, but he's an absolute rhinoceros. Like, he's the sweetest thing in the world, but he cannot regulate his emotions. I know he's 3 years old, so it's like, what are you really expecting of this kid? In comparison to other 3-year-olds, like, he just sometimes struggles to regulate his emotions. He is so strong.
That dude runs through walls.
He's
doesn't he?
so aggressive. He is. Oh, he's trying to get to Hogwarts all the time. He'll run through walls anytime he gets the chance. He's been to the ER 3 times. No one else has been to the ER in our family.
And he sent 10 other kids to the ER.
And you don't even want to know the amount of kids. Somebody came in the other day because we've got twins. He's got a twin brother. And somebody came in and said, "Hey, we're really sorry, but one of our sons accidentally hit one of your 3-year-old sons." And the first thing I thought, wasn't Aiden, because I'm not hearing about how your son ended up with a bloody eye, nose or anything like that. So that's how I know it was Eli, poor Eli, a sweet Eli. I shouldn't say poor. He's pretty tough too. But all of this to say, when I can tell you what kind of day, like, it's crazy to me that Catherine can tell you what kind of day he's going to have at school based on how much, like, we call it snuggle time, he got before school. Like, you want to stop him from being aggressive and being angry and not navigating his emotions or not playing with his friends well. Like, hold him. Like, when you wake him up, you're not in a rush. You give him snuggles, and you tell him you love him.
That's how my day starts.
I'm telling you.
I gotta have the
you feed him some pancakes. His day's drastically different, and it's just crazy because that never really does go away, does it? Like,
you're talking about that sounds kind of nice.
I'm 48. I would love some snuggles and pancakes.
No, but it's like, how do you want to
Tuesday.
you want to develop an angry kid? You want to develop an angry adult? I mean, how do that's not able to regulate his emotions, that hurts people because he was hurt.
We know some people that need
right. You deprive them of those things, right? And like it's just crazy. You can watch it. It's almost like a little science lab as they're young. You can just watch them absorb and how they respond to those kinds of things, and that never goes away. It just gets more and more complex. And I think about that, going back to the generation that we have now that are dads. My goodness, when the kids that I'm looking at right now in the schools, when they become the dads, like when it's not the problem. Go ahead and tell you, the problem's not going to get better. It's certainly not on its own. It's not going to accidentally
the problem with that is,
flip.
You're literally, that's a 2-generation.
Yeah.
Right now where these numbers are at, what your experience is and what you're seeing. That goes back to, this doesn't just change like overnight. Right?
No,
we're already stuck in this for 20. 30 more years before, really
more
anxiousness.
More instability. The anxiety, all of the things that we're seeing right now.
This is generational curses.
Just a pandemic of this. It's not getting better for sure on accident, but going back to what you were saying, I think it is that. I think it's, another biblical principle is iron sharpens iron, this finding a group of guys that aren't, doing it perfect, but they're also not taking complacency as an option. And so they're going, we know that that's not the option, but we also don't necessarily know what it's supposed to look like. So let's do this together.
You think, I think this is an obvious answer, but growing up, kids turn into teenagers, I think they genuinely notice a father that's trying, even if you have someone that's really had legitimate struggles with anger or certain things. But I think if you're genuinely trying and improving and trying to get better every day, even if you screw up the majority of things, I think that kid grows up and is better off because they saw the effort that was taking place.
So I would say yes. And the way that I would say a kid knows that is not physical presence, but it's emotional presence. So, I would say a way that the kid is able to determine whether or not you're trying, right, is if there's emotional presence involved. So I'm not just there sending an email, right? But I'm there and I genuinely get excited. Like I've watched my 7-year-old now who's old enough, like I've watched him get excited about something, me not show him the excitement that he needs, and then watch his countenance just fall. And then
just crushes him.
And then me going like, and I'm sure I've done it in times where I haven't noticed it, but like, thank goodness I was able to, like, at least recently it happened and I tried again. Right. And I was just like, wait, I'm so sorry. What did you say? And he's like, no, I said this. And I was like, oh, and like, it brings it out of him, dude. He's just like, let me tell you everything about this thing that's, and it really is. So I think it's the emotional presence of being there consistently that I absolutely think. There's a moment where they become old enough, I think, where they go, it's like, are you still in the game? It's like you're still, like, you think about it. You think about the statistics of the fathers that walk away from the home and the fathers that stop playing, not that, being a family is a game, but for lack of a better term, like, you're still there, right? Like you're still fighting, you're still pushing, you're still moving forward, you're still taking the, being faithful in the trials and the tribulations, and your family's still, together, and your marriage is still ticking, and you're still there, and you're still going, and you're still moving, and you're still pushing, and every single day you're continuing to do that. Absolutely. I think that is rewarded. I think that is the blessing of, whatever. But I also think that we on the outside, you don't have any idea if the father has given up a long time ago, but they still bring their family to church, and you see them from 9 to 11, like, and then you wonder why the family's not intact. It's like, well, no, it's because they see that he's given up a long time ago. It goes back to that emotional presence. But me, if I know and my family knows that we're still pushing along, like, I'm still there. Like, I think that is where I think we measure it, unfortunately, from that kind of outside looking in, and we think that more people are still in the game than they actually are. Yeah. But I think if you're actually in the game, You're actually taking it day by day, and you're actually saying, I'm sorry when you make a mistake, and you're actually going back and saying, hey, I missed it here. And you're actually like, I think those are the people who,
and that stuff doesn't get you the immediate reward or the dopamine, of putting an Instagram post out there, making everyone, or coming to church or being seen in public, and people have this idea that you're a great dad. Yep. Like it's not easy to do these things because there is no immediate reward.
Yep.
Right. Other than the enjoyment of having your kids. I mean, I would think that would be a reward in itself, but
sure.
That reward builds itself over time.
Well, and this is a really big conversation, because I mean, we could even talk about, if nothing changes with men, then I mean, you got, I'm sure, marriage stats and how homes are breaking apart and women feel not seen or valued because husband's off doing something else or doesn't care, and it's not. You mentioned there's so many things that we've talked about in past podcasts that would apply to this: the intentionality, the being present, the protecting, the loving, and the being there for them. I don't know. This is a really big conversation. I think we could probably continue to talk about this for a long time, but man, we've got to get to the point where family is important. Marriages are important.
So first of all, start having them, right?
Yeah, like
let's start pursuing them.
Yeah, it's and they've got to be important to you. Yeah. And
absence and distraction.
Why would they be important to us? Why should that be important to us?
You said it earlier, like it's a God-given part of my DNA. I'm wired that way. Yeah, like we're designed that way. We're designed for a relationship. We're designed to do this. And
you didn't mean it like this, but I think that that's probably the number one question for guys that subtly they answer themselves, like, why should it be important to me? Like, why? Like my dad wasn't there. My dad wasn't around. I'm fine. Look at me. Why should that be important to me? I'll do what I want to do type thing, And I think answering that question, is foundational to going back and saying that. And then I think, the fear of absence or, the trauma of absence is a huge hindrance. And then distraction is the number one, those are the two reasons why, somebody said it the other day, and I'm done after this, but nobody cares how you start. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares how you start the race. Nobody's going to talk about how you started the race.
Yeah.
It's how you finished. You're still intact.
I didn't know where this one was going to go. This was like a really big,
this was good.
Just broad topic.
We got a lot to do before the race is finished, though.
Then I said, I better pull some stats and
do it.
Here we are. Hopefully there was a little bit of hope sprinkled in there. It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah. Yep.
I still think we make him close it out since he...
I mean, you made me close it out.
He wanted to take charge of this whole podcast,
you should have it. I'm good. I really appreciate the offer.
Yeah. No worries.
Man, you guys are kind.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening right here on the Every Dad Podcast.